Alright, so this is going to be another rebuttal redo, and it's a 1NR on security, and it's against the SBS affirmative. And the judge told me to spend kind of more time on the permutation, coming up with like smarter answers on the permutation. And in the actual round, I ended up reading some case 2 in the 1NR, but the judge told me to not go for case, instead spend a lot more time on the security K. Okay. Just pull up the file. Alright. They say there's no link to the global warming events where environmental issues become securitized when extreme measures are taken to conserve it, when the environment becomes a priority issue to any others. Buzz in 98, the environment is becoming an interest in because groups are using security logic exactly follows the formula prescribed in the previous section. The environment has to strive, therefore the issue should take priority over all others because the environment degrees the point in order to turn all others should lose their meaning. If the idea catches on, the environment itself may be the only referent object, and object by reference to which security action be taken in a socially significant way. And they still link to security because they over-exaggerate the threats of warning, and when they securitize against the issue, it takes priority over the threats that their security discourse constructs. That's why we vote negative, because the impacts that security creates outweigh, so we vote for the alternative to solve these more important impacts. And they can see the link to security. Moore and Russell Carver, the 1AC, clearly says the affirmative attempts to solve a impending energy crisis that leads to resource wars is a clear concession of the link, because they try to securitize against the threat of resource wars by attempting to build SBSP. They try to fix a shortage of resources that they perceive as a problem. Securitize by sending solar panels into space is exactly what our critique eradicates. And on the hedge advantage, they claim to increase hegemony in order to stop nuclear conflict. This is not yet another concession of the link. The SBS odds are an attempt to securitize against the perceived threat of nuclear conflict, exemplifying where critique judge. If you vote affirmative, you operate in a world where we attempt to solve the impacts we inevitably create. You justify a world of endless cycles of apocalypse. Vote negative to prevent the app's impacts from happening, as well as any instance of them occurring in the future. And root cause securitization is the reason their impacts are inevitably bound to happen in the instance of the affirmative repeat themselves in the future. Their threats are constructed by their security thing. When we see there are limited resources available, we immediately jump to the conclusion that other countries are going to want to fight us over them. We invent this threat because our discourse is because our discourse is securitizing, and we securitize against these problems that we originally created because our security thing. And the app also claims that they want to maintain U.S. hegemony in order to protect themselves from nuclear threats. The reason they see these nuclear threats in the first place is because of our epistemology of security. We think that China and countries in the Middle East are going to want to use their nukes against us. We securitize ourselves against these threats, which then leads China securitize themselves against us, and this escalates into the nuclear war that they predicted in the first place. It was security that caused the nuclear war. As security that was the root cause of these impacts. So vote for the odds to reject all instances of security. And their representation of space rationalizes the need to defend it, creating threats they hope to solve. Borman 9, representing field combat space, instant instability, project modes of destruction and killing, determines, reproduces, and locks in the very existent rationale of the need to defend space and any other. Outer space is a sphere of permanent crisis, constitutes and constructs the very reality it purports to counter. If one asks what the Soviets can do, one assumes that that's what they intend to do. Strategic planning in the worst case scenarios commit us to assume something will happen, and they say perm do both, but the perm fails because it still involves affirmative action, just the link to security, the very idea we're critiquing. They claim they can do the plan and then reject all instances of security, but it's because they do this one instance of security that the app fails. The perm fails. Here's a card. The play cannot be reconfigured or detached from discursive underpinnings. The noble effort to restrict the violence conducted by the United States and framed by a larger structure of security logic, the rise to the effort of a broader system of hegemonic power and economic domination. Burke 7. The reasons for pursuing critical analysis relate not only to the most destructive approaches such as the war and wreck, but also to their available alternatives. Is a necessity question, asking more from a fundamental discursive consensus by meaning security and justice can become hostage to claustrophobic structure of possibility systematic awards of critique. And perm can't solve realism, can't conceptualize itself. Linkladder 90. Although some realists and rationalists have argued for the transformation of world politics, most nevertheless emphasize the limited opportunities for significant reform. Realism, they also explicate its role in reproducing power relations, which it regards as the objective foundation for impossibility theorem. And they say realism inevitable. Realism is only inevitable now because of the existing power structures challenging dominant discourses via the alt overcomes realism grounded for analysis. The country being the dominant discourse deems insignificant by virtue of the different epistemological foundations. Approaches to deconstruct theoretical practice to disclose what is hidden has something valuable to say. Realism analysis do not question the ontology of purport neutral and objective analysis. Rhetoric is not a description of national security conduct, constitutes it. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because they accept that realism is inevitable without embracing the possibility of rejecting for the alternative. That's why we present the alt, and they see realism good because we need it so every person can operate in. But the alt calls for a complete rejection of security discourse and the realist structure, so the alt causes everyone to operate within it. And They said the neg reads that they read a theory argument that says the neg needs to read a policy option in order to make the debate predictable, but the resolution does not call for the neg to read a policy option. Security critique is perfectly predictable. It's the most generic and popular critiques there is. It should be able to answer, and the negative needs to be able to challenge it further from multiple angles. That's neg flex in order to find the best option in the debate.